This was really my first storm I've worked on. It was the coldest temperatures I've ever been outside in and had to work in.
Of all the storms I've worked on the East Coast, nor'easters, hurricanes, floods, tornadoes, I've never been on a storm that was so taxing physically as far as getting around, as well in vehicles as well as walking. I would say this was by far the worst storm I've ever worked, considering we were in snow up to above our knees, going up in the right-of-ways that we have and having to get the wire out, climbing poles and carrying all the equipment in.
The worst part of the storm is mobility. I spent the first 4 days in Owen County. If you're familiar with that area, you couldn't move. Couldn't get a truck to anything. We drove as close as we could, walked everything on foot, climbed. That's what took the longest, I believe, with the durations of outage times, was couldn't get to it. Roads were not plowed anywhere.
It's not like a normal outage where you find one problem, boom, you go turn it back on. It was just like one thing after another.
A lot of the poles we went to, I mean, they were poles that we could usually get with a bucket truck in normal conditions, but there was 2 or 3 foot of snow on the ground, so we couldn't get a truck to it, and we had to climb it, and I think it was -17 one night, and I mean, climbing a pole, it gets cold up there, so the job that would usually take about an hour maybe with a bucket truck took 3-4 hours just because you had to do it all manually.
We went to get some of our equipment out, which is our hand line, which is a rope that we use to pull the wire back up to each other, and it was actually frozen solid in one big clump. So we actually had to defrost it to even get the wire, before we could even get the wire back up.
My partner on the first day, he said his fingers were so numb he had to get in the cab and put his fingers on the defroster. He said he had no feelings in the upper half of his fingers it was just so, it was 13 below zero. I've never worked in that weather before like that.
Yeah, the weather we worked in at that night was actually -41 degrees wind chill, snowing extremely hard, and the roads were snow covered and extreme weather to even get to our outages.
The cold wasn't as bad as, like I said, it was just actually physically getting around, getting into the right-of-ways, just simple routine jobs. When we put wire up, it was a lot more difficult with wire freezing. We had one incident where a consumer had called in and said this is a daytime job, so we knew right then that was not going to be good when the consumer says that. So he actually had a line down across his pond, and it was off a 3-phase feeder pole. And he was there when we got there, and he actually had walked around the pond and put rope all the way across. And we had to take a whole roll of wire and splice into it because, like I said, it was all frozen. There was no way we could get that wire up out of that pond.
The cold temperatures and then the wet snow and just froze the lines, and then the pine limbs just snapped. We had a lot of trees down.
Yeah, I've got a younger brother. He works in the right-of-way department, and we worked with him a couple nights. Those guys, I mean, they helped us out a lot, clearing the trees off the lines and helping us pull wire up. The right-of-way guys was a big help to us.
We would have had a heck of a time doing it without our tree guys. I mean, they helped us a lot. If we didn't have the right-of-way crews that we have here, then it would have been a lot longer.
I think everyone worked really, really hard, and the communication was very good. And I think that we got everybody on a record time, considering how bad it was.
I believe I come in on Sunday morning, I guess would have been the 5th, around 10 o'clock, and didn't actually finish storm work cleanup until that following Friday night around 7 or 8 in the evening is when we finally got the last few consumers on.
I worked a lot of daylight hours, which is, to me, is a lot more, it's a lot safer, it's a lot easier. But of course, we worked into the night till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and then we'd go home, 8 hours rest, and then come back and do it all over again.
I went home each night, like I said, for 7-hour period, maybe 6. Come back in, take a shower and dry clothes and come back.
We came in at 4 p.m. and worked till 7:30 the next morning, and then we'd actually sleep from 7 to like 2 and be back in by 4.
In total, I think I had about 130 hours. So I mean, it was a long week, but it was worth it.
My power was out. I'm a member myself, so when I was going by my house for the last time, 11:30 at night. I didn't know if my family was awake or not, but I shined the spotlight on the house as I was going by. And they was all going, "Yay!" They was all really happy, and they knew it was going to get turned back on soon.
Saturday morning around 2 o'clock, 3 of our crews converged together, and we got the last 2 consumers on that I know of, and it was, like I say, 2 o'clock Saturday morning. So that was great, and then we all went home.
All my neighbors are always on Facebook and stuff. They're always thanking me, Bob. Thanks, Bob. Thanks for all your help and all your hard work and stuff like that. So they know how hard I work and how many hours I put in.
Everybody that we went to, all the consumers, they was real appreciative of what we was doing. It made me feel good being out there helping people.
No, I never really thought about myself too much. I guess in that situation you really don't. You're just, you know, you got a job to do and you just do it.